Yes, guys, what's going on? Welcome to AdamMcKola TV. We are live. We are back for United Daily Live, the place to be every single evening for your latest Manchester United news, headlines, transfer news, rumours, all that good stuff. We have it here, and a little on this day as well. It's the 7th of August today, and on this day in 2003, Thursday the 7th of August 2003, Juan Sebastian Veron ended 2 years at Manchester United by joining Chelsea for a reported £15 million. The Argentinian international midfielder had joined the Reds from Lazio of Serie A in Italy, and that happened on this day in 2003. And Juan Sebastian Veron was a player that, whilst he didn't live up to the expectations of when we bought him for 28.1 million or whatever it was just after winning the treble, whilst he didn't live up to those expectations, he still had his moments more often than not in Europe. Remember his goal against Panathinaikos, was it? An amazing goal from Juan Sebastian Veron. And there were moments, but when you've got a midfield of Keane and Scholes and you predominantly play a midfield four, or a 4-4-2, it's difficult to get those three working, and Scholes and Keane were never going to get dropped. Veron was never going to be able to come in and play like that. Nowadays, playing in a 4-3-3, or a 4-2-3-1, United probably would have been able to make that combination work, and we would have had one of the best midfields in the world, but obviously didn't work out that way. On this day, Juan Sebastian Veron joined Chelsea from Manchester United in 2003. But here in the present, we are discussing loads of latest news, and today we're talking about Tahith Chong. We're talking about the Reds that have been nominated for the Premier League Young Player of the Season. We're talking about Jadon Sancho, of course, again. And we're also looking at Dean Henderson. Now, I wasn't able to get it on the graphic as the article just popped up before we went live. But there's been a story in regards to Dean Henderson's future as well, and how Ole Gunnar Solskjaer maybe doesn't quite see the same path into the Manchester United first team as Dean Henderson does. Now, with 2 years left on Dean Henderson's contract, that could obviously cause issues if Dean Henderson doesn't fancy sticking around. But I imagine with the amount of will that Dean Henderson has to play for Manchester United, that he'd be prepared to bide his time. But we'll look at that a little bit later on. First up, we are going to talk about Tahith Chong. We saw a little bit of a cameo from Tahith Chong in the game against Lask Lynch at left back, weirdly enough. He was obviously playing as a very, very attacking left back, but he looked quite decent, bursting in behind the full back, getting into the area, linking up with his players. He looked quite decent when he came on. Obviously, the level of Lask isn't great. And when we have played Tahith Chong throughout the season, he hasn't really looked great for United this season. He hasn't been able to transfer that form from the under-23s into the Manchester United first team. Now, not every player is Mason Greenwood. Not every player is Wayne Rooney. Not every player is going to jump into first team football and take it in their stride and take it easy. But Tahith Chong, obviously, he has a lot of potential, and he needs to go and fulfill that and develop a little bit. And staying at Manchester United isn't going to be the way forward for him. Obviously, we're hoping on signing Jadon Sancho, but even without that, Mason Greenwood would start ahead of him. You'd imagine Daniel James would probably start ahead of him, as has been the evidence so far in the campaign. On the other side, Marcus Rashford's going to start ahead of him. So you look at these positions where he could come in, and he's not going to be much more than a substitute bench player, if that. So Tahith Chong needs to go somewhere where he's going to play. Now, Werder Bremen were linked with him, and they've been linked with him for a while, and they came out recently and said those talks are true. We are in negotiations with Manchester United for Tahith Chong. We are interested in bringing him to the club, but no deal is done yet, and the negotiations still have to continue on that front. So it remains to be seen whether this deal will get over the line, whether it provokes attraction and interest from another team in Tahith Chong's services. But his agent has been talking about him. He should have rather been going to Germany. He wants to see him go to Germany. He wants to see him go into the Bundesliga and play there. So his agent is saying that it looks like Tahith Chong's up for that move. He probably doesn't want to stay at Man United this season. He's obviously recently signed a new contract. And I suppose in those meetings and those discussions for his new contract, he would have obviously discussed whether he's going to be staying at Manchester United and staying in the first team. I'm sure United would have said to him, well, actually, let's just see you go out on loan this season and we'll bring you back next campaign, next summer, after hopefully a good year with Werder Bremen or whoever else, whether it should be. So there we go with Tahith Chong, and the latest on his future. Looks like he could be going to Werder Bremen as they confirm those talks. Does anyone think he still could offer anything for Manchester United at this moment in time? We've obviously got Nick, Ilya, Ruder Back, I Am King, Cress, Sean, Paul B, Ross Murphy, Matt Loof, Carl Martinson, David in the house. We've got loads of people in, Trigger, JC, Finley, Chandler, Tobias. So thank you all you guys for joining us. Make sure you're hitting that like button, you're commenting, you're sharing, you're subscribing, joining if you can, and of course if you can, get your super chats in as well. Keep it locked to AdamMcKola TV. We're here live every single day at 10:30. Now I was gonna originally do this as a Jadon Sancho show, and I thought there's not really much to talk about now. There's been some stuff released by Mike McGarry and Duncan Castles in relation to Jadon Sancho. Now let me find that here, just for the sake of the update. But 1 second. I'll be able to find it in a sec. But basically, what their latest updates are basically updates on the negotiations for Jadon Sancho. There are no updates on whether the deal's done, whether the deal's closer, what's going on in that regard. There's nothing more in that sense at this moment in time. Fabrizio Romano, when replying to a tweet today, confirmed that talks continue for Jadon Sancho. The Transfer Podcast, which is the one I was on about, again, Duncan Castles, hit and miss with reliability. I don't know much on Mike McGarry, but he's saying Dortmund want 110 million euros. United want to pay 80 million euros up front and 30 million euros, but Dortmund are demanding 90 million plus 20 million. So as has been already floated about and muted by others that are more reliable, Fabrizio Romano confirmed the players has an agreement for his contract there, 250 grand a week, a contract until 2025, so a 5-year deal. I'm sure United would add with an option for an extra year on the end of that as well. But we already hear, Fabrizio going as far as saying it's a 250 grand a week contract for 5 years, 2025, June 2025, and now it's just a case of the clubs agreeing a deal. So that's where we currently are on that one. We're not going to get any further along at this moment in time with that deal. You imagine it could drag on for a little bit. United maybe are going to, try and dig their heels in a little bit. Dortmund are going to try and dig their heels in a little bit. We saw, obviously, them saying there was a deadline of August the 10th. Fabrizio Romano and others have said United don't care about any deadline, and there isn't really a deadline there for the deal to get done because Dortmund are open to the deal happening. So it looks like unless United don't want to pay what, and that's kind of obvious, isn't it really? But unless United don't stump up the cash, he's our player. So it's just a matter of time for United to get the right deal, I think. That's all they're working on at the moment. And for both clubs to say they won. Now, Dortmund are probably thinking, we don't want these add-ons because we just want the guaranteed cash. So United have just got to get it done, really, innit? There's no point just dragging it on. Justin says Dortmund are being greedy. Manny Plays is in the house. Thank you for joining us. Sancho was on a boat somewhere, says Nick. I think that video was done when he was on holiday. He's back in training now with Borussia Dortmund, so he's not on a boat, I don't think, anywhere. Would Villa swap Lingard Jones for Grealish, says Casper? As much as we would probably hope to see that happen, it's probably not going to happen. It wouldn't surprise me if Aston Villa took Axel Tuanzebe in a deal, maybe, because that's a player that they've had before. They know he's got a higher resale value, but I can't see a player swap deal happening for Jack Grealish. I think Villa are going to want to capitalise on how much he's worth and try and get that much in terms of a transfer fee. Dortmund owns Sancho. They can hold out for a long time, says Cress. Yeah, they can, but they also risk having a player that's unhappy on their hands. By all accounts, Jadon Sancho is in his head leaving Borussia Dortmund this summer. If that deal doesn't happen, you can see him being unhappy. Are they going to want to have an unhappy player on their hands for the whole season? As good as he is, probably not. Reza says, just pay the cash and get him. Vincent's in the house. The Brummy Reds, how you doing, mate? Ravik Kishore, how you doing, bro? Joshua says, sorry I haven't been getting involved in the live streams. No worry, man. And happy birthday for yesterday. I'd say they're negotiating about the initial prices, Kyle. Yeah, that's where it comes down to. And United are probably thinking, well, we want to get Jack Grealish, or we want to get this centre-half, or we want to get that guy. And therefore, we're not in a position to cough up this much money up front. That's why we're trying to get the deal with add-ons and with bonuses and with all that kind of thing. So he's just going to drag on a little bit more. Adam says, what about the loan or sell? Personally, I'd say loan. But with the longevity in Aaron Wan-Bissaka, the longevity in Brandon Williams, Ethan Laird, I can see why United would think, well, actually, let's cash in on him. Let's get 20 million for him, 15, 20 million, or get our money back for him, and use those funds towards another player. I can totally see that happening. As much as I like Diogo Dalot, I think he's a talented player. I just think United will probably see that as a resale value there. And United have a lot of players in that position. Brandon Williams, Luke Shaw, Aaron Wan-Bissaka, Timothy Fosu-Mensah's come back recently. Ethan Laird's breaking through. So Ollie will probably think, well, this is a position I'm quite, I've got a lot of players in. Let's sell him. Let's bring some of those funds in to maybe chuck it at a centre-half or something that is more needed. Because if you sell Dalot and you sell Smalling and you sell Jones and you sell Rojo, you can get probably a decent centre-half and have some money left over. So I could see why Ollie would want to do that. But at this moment, let's just wait. Kyle says, are you frustrated we haven't signed a single player yet, or still calm and confident? I'm quietly calm and confident because I expect us to sign Jadon Sancho. I think it will happen. And I don't think we're going to make much other business apart from outgoings, maybe one or two more signings. So I'm quite calm about things. I think once that Jadon Sancho deal gets done, we'll probably see another deal get done, and then United will sit tight, see who leaves, and see if we can bring someone else in. But I don't think there's going to be much business elsewhere. And that, I know Jan-Arg Fortraft is all over the place with his reporting at times. He reported today that United are only going to make one high-profile signing, and that's Jadon Sancho. Now, high-profile is a key word there, because by high-profile, what do you mean? Like, low profile? You could get a low profile centre half, 20-30 million pound, and we would need that. Do you know what I mean? So I don't think we're going to make just one signing, but I think Jadon Sancho is going to be the biggest deal. So if that takes a little bit of time, okay, and then we'll get the rest of our business done. But I'm not panicking just yet, although I know some of people are. Ilya says, don't trust the board. I don't trust them either, but I think we'll get the deal done for Jadon Sancho. It kind of ticks all the boxes of a signing that that your man Ed would love. Phil Lopez with the super chat says, does Alexis Sanchez go down as our worst transfer ever? It's out of Alexis, I think, and Angel Di Maria for the expectations that they had, the price of them. I know you could say Alexis Sanchez was a swap deal, but when you look at the money that he cost in terms of the wage fee, the wage and the effect that would have had on our salary for other players, and the performances we got from him. I can think of a handful of performances: Spurs in the semi-final, Arsenal in the cup, City in the league. 3 performances we got out of Alexis Sanchez. I think Di Maria, there was other reasons there. I don't think Di Maria ever wanted to come to United in the first place. If he got the move to PSG like he wanted to, FFP didn't call that off. He wouldn't have been coming to United anyway. So I think there was other reasons. He didn't get on with the manager after a bit. His clearly heart wasn't in Manchester. So I'd have to go with Alexis Sanchez. Thank you for your super chat. Playman with the super chat as well says, my opinion, United should have signed Sancho before the new kit release. Big opportunity missed to sell lots of jerseys, don't you think? Yes, if those two things coincide, it's massive, obviously. But I don't think it's a big deal, because the same people that would have bought a Jadon Sancho shirt will still buy a Jadon Sancho shirt. Do you know what I mean? So I don't think it's a big deal. And you would have seen that shirt worn by Paul Pogba and that like the day after the release in a match that most United fans would have been watching. So yeah, I don't think so. And there's quite a feel-good factor around United at the moment. So I imagine the shirt sales are doing quite well. And I do think once he signs, you'll see that spike anyway in sales. In fact, the shirt sellers will probably love that because you get the initial spike of the release anyway, and then maybe when the hype dies down a little bit, it has that jump again. If United do well in the Europa League, has another jump before the new season, so United shirts are always going to sell. I don't care how much United pay for him, MS10. We're going to pay, around 90 to 100 million pounds, 110 million euros, or whatever it is, 120. So, just however it gets paid, just pay it. I'd like it if we managed to structure the deal a little bit so that we kept more transfer funds for this summer. But obviously, I just want to see Jadon Sancho sign for United. I can see Smalling going to another Italian team like Inter or Juve. I don't think he's in Ollie's plan, says D Curran 248. I agree with that. I don't think he is in Ollie's plans. I think Ollie will obviously say nice things about him in the press. He did that about Ashley Young, Alexis Sanchez, Lukaku, and they all ended up leaving. I think Chris Smalling will leave Man United. I think he's one of those players that will fetch a transfer fee and we'll possibly see him go. Did I sneak into OT for a smoky barbecue earlier today, says Paul. If you're not sure what Paul is on about in regards to that, there was a few people that took pictures of Old Trafford today and there was loads of smoke coming from the pitch. Now, I don't know what that is. I've not got a clue, to be honest. But some were saying, could it be that they're using flares and things like that for a video with Jadon Sancho? It's wishful thinking, but I think if we were doing anything with Jadon Sancho, then surely he would have been seen in Manchester somewhere. The news in relation to Dean Henderson today as well is that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer thinks that Dean Henderson should stay out on loan for next season. And Dean Henderson thinks he should come back to Man United and fight for a spot. Now, obviously, David De Gea is our number one. He's had a difficult time this year, but I still think he's our number one, and rightly so. I'd like to see us go into the campaign with De Gea as our number one. And I think it is the best move. If Ollie's thinking the best move for Dean Henderson is to stay at Sheffield United on loan, I agree with him. I think, he's had a great couple of seasons at Sheffield United. I think he's very clearly destined for the number one shirt at United. But he's still got a lot of work to do. And I think give him that time, that development at Sheffield United. He played, 36 league games this year? Every game apart from the ones against United, I think. So you can't, disregard how good that is for his development. And coming back to Manchester United and only playing cup games, and we're not in the League Cup this year, I don't think. The FA Cup, Champions League, is he going to play regularly in the Champions League? What happens if he makes a mistake? In that, he's shot to bits then. So I think another year at Sheffield United is best for everyone. Then we'll see where De Gea is. Maybe leave a recall on it from January. And if we need to, get rid of him. Bring him back in January. Not get rid of him. Prashant with the super chat says, astonishing that we've collected so much deadwood. I do think we've got rid of a lot of it. I still think, obviously, there's a few on loan that you need to get out, Smalling and Rojo. But apart from that, the players that are left at the club, you're looking at, Jones. You're looking at Andreas, Mata, potentially Jesse, but I think if Andreas and Mata leave, Jesse stays. I think if, Jesse and Mata leave, Andreas stays, and vice versa. I think we keep two of them. You're looking at Alexis is gone, so that one's done. Diogo Dalot could go, but I don't think he's necessarily dead wood. I don't think we have that much dead wood anymore. I think it was a phrase that was often used for United because we did have so much shit at the club, but we haven't anymore. I think it's about, you get rid of the players that were on loan all season. We've got rid of one in Alexis. Smalling's returning. Let's get him sold. Get Rojo sold. I think that's going to happen anyway. Jones didn't play for United this season, so get rid of him. That's 4 players that haven't featured for United that you could get rid of. And then you've got Dalot that barely featured, 5. Andreas barely featured, post January when Bruno came, that's 6. Mata barely featured, that's 7. So the list does get big, but I don't think it really affects much of the squad that started for United towards the back end of the season. Thoughts on Angel Gomez going to Boa Vista? Obviously, Angel Gomez completed a move to Lille on a free transfer, and then swiftly went on loan to Boa Vista in the Portuguese leagues. Good luck to him. I want to see him do well. I don't have any ill will towards him, but I am disappointed that he didn't stay at United. Not just for him. I think the club could have maybe handled it better. That he could have maybe handled it better. And he's left United to go on loan somewhere. Like, he's gone to Lille to go on loan. And I just can't wrap my head around that one. Like, we could have sent him out on loan for a season. And then I know he's going to come back to a team that's more difficult to get into. But, you know, maybe then we could have sold him or whatever. United would have paid him as much as Lille, surely. So I don't think it was about money for him. But I still do find it a strange one. But there you go. Sean Carroll with the super chat says, what do you think about Angel Gomez going to Lille? Just answered that for you, mate, but thank you for your super chat anyway. What are your views? United as a counter attack, as an attacking threat from corners. Will a good defensive signing improve this threat from what we have now? Says Mohamed Jabbar. I think we've done well from corners in terms of delivering them into the right areas. We just haven't had someone to finish them. I think a lot of them have been falling, and from set pieces in general, have been falling onto Harry Maguire's head, and he could have had about 5-6 goals this season. So I do think, you know, if he can improve on doing that, then we'll have someone. Martial's getting better, but he can improve in the air. That's one area where he can improve. He did score a few very good headed goals for United, and he has done, but I think there's something that he could add more of to his game. Maybe Marcus Rashford coming in on the back post as well, with his aerial ability. You know, that's from open play, but from set pieces as well, we should have, you know, Paul Pogba should be scoring more headers. I think if he plays more, he will get more opportunity to do that. But we have a team which should be scoring a lot more headers, you're right, especially from corners. Abhishek says 500 watching, 100 likes. Come on, let's get it to 200. And I agree with Abhishek. Get hitting that like button right about now. We also saw 4 Reds have been nominated for the Young Premier League Player of the Year. And it's I can't believe a couple of them, to be honest. So we saw Dean Henderson, who's obviously on loan at Sheffield United, but is a Man United player. Thoroughly deserves his nomination. We saw Mason Greenwood. Thoroughly deserves his nomination. And he would probably be my Young Player of the Year. But then we saw Marcus Rashford and Anthony Martial and Jack Grealish somehow sneak in for Young Player of the Year nominations. Now, I think you have to be like under 24 before the season starts or something like that. And whilst they qualify, I think this award needs to be changed to maybe Rookie of the Year, under 23. I don't know, your first season where you've played over 10 games. You know, because I think there's a few players, Bakayo Saka missed out on a nomination, maybe deserved a nomination. There's a few players that missed out on a nomination that deserved a nomination. So, you know, I do think it's a bit unfair. But you're looking at the Young Player of the Year nominations. You've got Pulisic, Mason Mount from Chelsea. You've got Trent from Liverpool. You've got Jack Grealish from Villa/United. And then you've got Dean Henderson, Martial, Rashford and Mason Greenwood. I do think Martial and Rashford are, you know, by the rules that are there. We saw Sterling win it, didn't we? I think last season. And that was an odd one. So by the rules, they deserve the nomination. But, you know, I think it's a bit mad. Rishi says Martial and Grealish barely qualify. Vincent says, why wasn't Ollie nominated as Manager of the Year? And I think that is probably, some people will probably think, what the hell is Vince talking about? But when you see the nominees, it makes sense. Because Jurgen Klopp was nominated. Obviously, he's going to be the winner, and rightly so. Chris Wilder was nominated, rightly so. But then fucking Frank Lampard and Brendan Rodgers was nominated. Now, Brendan Rodgers did well, but ultimately you took a massive dip after the break and you lost your Champions League spot. But Frank Lampard, you took 3rd place to 4th place. People say he never spent any money. He spent £100 million. They bought Kovacic and Pulisic in after the transfer ban. You know, they brought back Tammy Abraham, Mason Mount, all these players, Reece James and that. So they freshened up their squad. They had a team that contained players like Kante, Jorginho, Giroud, you know, quality players in their team. And everyone goes on, well-record goalkeeper in net. Marcos Alonso, Azpilicueta, experienced players. And people go on like he had a bunch of scrubs and took them into the top 4. He took them from 3rd to 4th. He took Derby from 6th to 6th and didn't get him through the playoffs. I find it mad that he gets this nomination. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer definitely deserves it ahead of him. Bizarre nomination. And Phil has a super chat. How the hell is Lampard nominated over Ole? I don't get it either. I don't know. It's obviously because a lot of people just lick Lampard's ass, but bizarre. He'll be sacked next season. Aryan says, Smalling played well this year for Roma. Would you want to see him play next year? I want to see him play next year, but not for Man United. You know, I don't wish any wrong on him. But I don't want to see him play for Man United next season. Lampard finishing 4th is an achievement, but it's not manager of the season achievement. He lost 3 finals as well, like Ross points out. So make of that what you will. They're 3-0 down in the Champions League. Make of that what you will. Who do you hate more, City or Liverpool? Says Playman. Thanks for the super chat as well. I need another one. And good night, mate. I hate Liverpool more. Just because I've had... Obviously, I'm not born in Manchester, so I don't know many Manchester City fans, to be honest. And I'm sure those that live in Manchester don't know many either. But I've had more of a rivalry with Liverpool, obviously. You know, and I think the rivalry with them is a bigger one. I think the one with City is obviously means more now because they're obviously a more competitive team. But I think that's a geographical rivalry, whereas United and Liverpool, yes, it's a geographical rivalry, but it's also a footballing rivalry. So Liverpool, without a doubt. Anyway, guys, that has been it for United Daily Live today. A little bit of a quiet one, but we've made it through to the end without really stopping or having to find anything to chat about. So thank you to you lot for joining us. You've all been absolute legends. Make sure you're hitting that like button on your way out. Get commenting, get sharing, get subscribing, get joining if you can. But for now, I've been AdamMcKola. I'm going to get out of here. Tomorrow, we've got the Weekly United coming up. And then we've also got some transfer lists coming up. 10 players that could leave. 10 players that could come in. Obviously, we're not going to sign 10 players. But 10 players that could be on Ollie's transfer list. You surely know some of them already. But those videos are going to come out maybe Sunday, Monday as well. So keep it locked for more content on AdamMcKola TV. The preview for the Copenhagen game as well. And loads more stuff. See you in a bit.